Good morning, welcome to Subramani. I'm going to talk to you about some of the features that I have seen in very successful investors. Largely, when I say successful, I mean people who started with a decent base, which means they did not have to give money to their parents. If anything, they inherited either a little or a lot, inherited even from their grandparents. So they started off with a cushion. It's not that they started off down in the dumps, but then they created wealth for themselves, so much wealth that they need not do the business which they are doing. They can look at some new business, and or they can decide to go for a vacation and not come back at all. They'll have enough money to pay for their house in Mumbai and for their vacation for the rest of their lives. So financially free, and it's got nothing to do with age. Some are very young, some are a little older, but yes, all of them have created wealth. So let us look at some of their common characteristics. So what is the first one? Obviously they made it, right? So major portion of their wealth, maybe 80% or 70% of their wealth is something which they created. But let me again add, they could create that wealth because there was no great demand on their wealth. So and therefore every rupee they earned after tax was available to them, with which they could spend or invest or do whatever they want. But yes, they chose to invest. So that is one thing. And another thing is all of them, all the 10 of them whom I am talking about, made their wealth through equity investing, not through real estate, not through mutual funds, but direct equity investing. And to a great extent, there is survivorship bias. I've heard stories of people going fat because of F&O and selling in an expensive location and shifting to a cheaper location. I am not talking about them. I am talking of only those who were successful. So there is obviously a survivorship bias. I did not pick up these people, let's say in 1992, and I'm doing a story in 2021. I know them for a very long time, yes, but I did not use any of those criteria to pick up and talk about them, right? But in a country where people are afraid of equity markets, where people think equity markets is only for losses or equity markets is only for meeting a particular goal, I know people who will come into the market, make some money, take it, and then put it into a very safe fixed deposit, right? So markets were meant just to make money. Here these people were not like that. They decided that wealth creation for the long run will happen only through equity. They did not even for a minute ask whether they should shift to real estate. Yes, they have real estate. All of them have real estate. Some of them even regretting buying real estate because the shares which they sold to buy real estate has gone up much more. So, somewhat akin to the Rakesh Jhunjhunwala story of CRISIL. But they have enough real estate that they need. They may have a couple of properties which they have given out on rent, but largely their wealth has been created by their being in equity market. So what are the characteristics? First of all these people saved a lot of money. If they were earning 100 rupees, they were saving 60-70 rupees. So they lived frugally, yes, and they continue to live frugally. That is first thing. And they learnt about investing and managing money a little, maybe with their parents, through their parents, chose their broker accordingly. I don't think any of them had the same broker. Their fathers did not have the same broker, so somewhere they came to the broker and said, okay, I need to invest and grow money. They were lucky to find a good broker. Good broker who was more interested in creating wealth than in the brokerage that he earned. In the process, he also created wealth, make no mistake. But at no point did he sound, I mean, all of them gave a feedback that they never thought that he was doing any transaction for his own money. All of them risked their monies into the equity market, stayed there during tough times, and they were very clear about one thing, that to create wealth, you have to be in the wealth business, right? So they were definitely there in it, and they were creating wealth for themselves. So what are the other things? First of all of them had a future perspective, saying, I will be using this money for myself tomorrow. There is no doubt about that. They knew that this money was theirs, their money will grow, and they could use it for anything tomorrow. Anything could mean, I mean, I've seen them help others for medical expenses, or giving a loan to somebody to buying a house, all on friendly terms, right? So these kind of things have happened. So first one, very clearly long-term perspective, they never thought short-term. Yes, they would do short-term trading. I'm not saying that they didn't do short-term trading or day trading. They've done everything. It's not as though they did only long-term investing, but their focus was very clear that they would do long-term investing. None of them had any responsibilities, in the sense that none of them had anybody to feed, which means there is no grandparent to be taken care of, parents to be taken care of, or uncle, aunt, somebody, no such thing. There was nobody dependent on them. So most of them were entrepreneurs who are also into investing. They love their jobs or love their business, but they are very clear that the money that they take out of their business, they would invest, and they would make sure that their personal life was independent. So whether it is buying a Keyman insurance or buying an insurance where the company would pay the premium but the maturity amount would go to their wives, all these tax planning actions they have taken, but largely depending on their business or depending on their service, they have put aside money to create enough corpus to be independent. They don't have dependents, in the sense that I know only one or two couples who have decided not to have children. Otherwise, they've all had children. I am not saying that they chose not to have children because they wanted to create wealth, but yes, these two couples have decided not to create wealth. Not to have children. Children are definitely a big drain on one's funds, because if they decide to do engineering or medicine and then do an MBA, study abroad, that would cost you a lot of money. I do not think any of these people decided not to have children based on the fact that they have money or don't have money. In fact, the people who have decided not to have children are very well off, very well educated. So it's not about money, but yes, not having children or not having a working spouse, is a negative, and having children is again a negative for wealth creation. I am not suggesting that you have kids or don't have kids based on this, but I am saying definitely having dependents is a drain on your wealth. So whether you have a child or whether you are supporting parents who have not saved enough for their own retirement, whatever either ways, it is a drain on your wealth creation process. There is no doubt about that. So many of them are very, very business oriented, career oriented, but not so much that they would not give it up. So they would be in their family business or they would be starting their own business, but they would be happy to give it up and do something on their own, which includes investing. So very clearly, if you want to be a good investor, you need a good advisor and a full-time job. If you try doing it yourself, then there will be a lot of monkeying around. You'll be listening to so many videos and audios and looking at websites and blogs and Facebook groups and deciding to do something. None of them did anything. They found an investment advisor or a broker after a lot of search and then stuck to him and then just listened to him, right? Largely, when they invested, they did not invest for consumption. Now, when you see a normal person investing, he'll say, oh, I'm doing this SIP to buy a fridge, or I'm doing this SIP to buy a car, or I'm doing this SIP to buy a house. The SIPs are normally meant for buying something, right? It's very focused. I want to do this so that I can go to Singapore for a vacation or Switzerland for a vacation. So it's very goal oriented, which is good. But wealth creation has not been a goal for many people, whereas for these people, the only goal has been wealth creation. Incidentally, they bought a fridge or a washing machine or a TV or a car, but largely the focus has been towards wealth creation and for future use rather than for future consumption. None of them have borrowed and invested for long periods of time. There may be an occasional F&O trade, an occasional leverage, but as a pattern, they have not done borrow and invest kind of a thing. Largely, they have been alone. They would ask a lot of people, but the final decision would be theirs. They would not consult their parents, their brothers, sisters, wife, anybody. They would finally be deciding on their own, but they would be talking to many people. They would be talking to me, they'd be talking to their broker, they'd be doing everything and then go and build their own portfolio, right? The broker also helped, but yes, they did it. They enjoyed the process of talking to people, learning about investing, etc. They've communicated well to their families. Their families knows what they are doing. they take their annual vacations, they do all that, but they enjoy the whole process of investing. That is also very important, that in case you decide to invest, you should enjoy the process, your family should enjoy the process. Only then will you be able to save stroke invest in a sensible way, right? I think that's all. Thank you.